Oak Island HARRAH theory is now online, and I'm ready to give the full report of the whole island. Let's do it. Next, we're going to move into the maps here, the two maps I found from 1687, proving that the French king was looking for a harbor, and Oak Island is that place. Mahone Bay, the harbor that could hold 2,000 ships. Here I've created a map of Oak Island that represents the 1687 to 1713 time frame. Alright, let's start the process of the island. Here you go. You would go to lot 5 and anchor. And then all your little boats that are attached to the ship would start moving into lot 5 at high tide, which eliminates the beach, so you can pull right up to shore and jump onto the slipways for unloading. Now we move over here. Lot 5, I call it the forced crank. And this is how I decipher the evidence. A big wood deck for unloading, some sort of capstan, 2 slipways, one's a little wider. And that's because they could both take the same shit or the same boats, but one of those had to be wider because you needed just a little bit bigger boat to go up Gold River and return with nuggets. Once the ship was completely unloaded onto that deck on lot 5, you would move it onto ox carts at that point and bring it over here to the lot 8 marker. It's a directional marker. It's also a checkpoint and also a lead kiln. Now, the tags that they'd use on this cargo was made of lead with silver clasp. That's why we're getting high readings underneath the rock. Here we are at lot 8 still. We're looking over the cargo, writing it down. What do we have here? Doing some spot checks. If we do a spot check, we'll pull the tag off and replace it. It's a lead tag with a silver clasp. Once everything was accountable, we move it over to the wall on lot 26, but the men here at the checkpoint would take the time now, once they had enough lead tags with that silver clasp, they'd throw it under the rock. They created a kiln, and they would make it about 287 degrees, just enough to make it malleable. You didn't have to smelt it. You would make it malleable, and you could form it and press it into ballast or maybe a lead cross, possibly. So when we look at the layering on lot 8 rock, you have ash and then clay. And the lead is attaching to the ash, which is heavier than the silver, because lead naturally attaches to ash where it wouldn't fall through like where the silver does into the clay. That's why the silver is below the ash. And also below the lead. It's very complicated, but it makes sense. Here we are, lot 26, the wall, used for storage. Barrels and crates pushed up against it. A well right there for the mess hall. That's where they cooked. It's right next to the barracks. The command center is there. The wall also is a defensive wall for the command center on the other side. If anyone would attack, it would be from Smith's Cove, and they could defend the command center right there. Samuel Ball repurposed it. The real deal came when the completion of lot 26 stone wharf was created. It was 100 feet long offshore and 16 feet wide. Perfect enough for a big ship to pull up, unload, then you'd move right into the shipyard right next to it. No need to anchor, row your boats out there to lot 5, unload, go through the checkpoint. Everything would be put here and unloaded into the forest locker. The French left rocks like this as markers. This is the design of lot 26 stone wharf. This is how it looked. I've compared it to other forts in the area. It's identical. Here we are at lot 26. Once they've unloaded the ship completely, that's when they would move it right over to the shipyard for maintenance. The king made a law before the map of 1687. Every area needed to have a place to repair it. That is Oak Island. The harbor was Mahone Bay, the capital right next door. Now we're moving the ship into the shipyard. There you go, you got Nolan's cross, but it's way more advanced than just a cross. And besides, it's not a crucifix, so it's not really a cross related to Templars, is it? As you can see, this is standard French design. The French were into using rocks to pull ships into for maintenance. Here's a great example. You have the tide coming in, you bring the ship in, you're going to need capstans, you're going to need these rocks to make sure that you get it in correctly. Here is the evidence. It's already there on the island. Now you wait for low tide to come in, the water leaves, and now you can maintenance your ships right here. And when it's done, you'd wait for high tide, you'd move it back out, you'd go over to lot 5, repeat the process. If it was a little more advanced in time, you'd just move right over to the stone wharf and you'd be out of there. How do you flush out the system? You got the high tide coming in, it's moving in through the fingerling drains, moving across, absorbing the freshwater lens, creating brackish water, pumping it out onto the giant pad. That's what the pad was used for, to expel the water from the system. It would flow out back into Mahone Bay. It would flow right back into the system. It's basically a sluice box. You have gold coming from Gold River just north of here. You have French ships that are covered in gold and silver. Then you have Glacier Till. All three of these create a huge vast of gold and silver readings way above normal. But the idea is they kept reusing and adding more silver and gold to their ships to touch them up here. It would get flushed out into the water and back into Smith's Cove. Out at low tide, back in at high tide. That's creating high levels, and that's it. As you can see, the French had some incredible ships. On the front and the back, they inlaid silver and gold onto it. Check it out. That's where the high readings are coming from, my friends. There you go. Now you can see it. High tide, it flushes the system. Low tide, now you can work on your ships. It's that easy. Incredible, though. The ingenious idea that someone came up with to do this. Just incredible. I really felt like I had some great evidence here. I looked at the original survey map here by Morris, and it's got 2 stone wharves on the bottom. Those line up with the entrance to the shipyard. I couldn't believe it. And at the top, 2 more stone wharves. Those are over there by the tar kiln. They'd go to the shore on the mainland, and then they would row over these white pines and then create the pine tar to put on, create pitch, put them on the ship, repair them. Here it is right here, lot 15, holding the tar kiln. They would bring those logs over, chop them up, and create it and put that right on the boat. And we're keeping it through here. Lot 4 had a toilet, but also lot 11 down by the shipyard had a latrine used by the men. Over here at a lot 11 also there was a blacksmith area and animal pen. They used that spring and dammed the water over here on the north to trap it in there. This is where they made all their tools. Now here's that lot 4 toilet. It's a latrine. It's close to the barracks. It's close to lot 5. The men needed to use it, so here it is. And here we are. Let's get Samuel Ball some attention. He repurposed the command center. That's why he looks so rich. But if he was truly rich, he wouldn't be rowing over at 80 years old, still planting cabbage, him and his butler. They both did it together. They didn't hire anybody. And when he bought this land, man, it wasn't looking so good. There was stumps everywhere. The point is if he really found the treasure, he wouldn't stay on this island. He'd go somewhere warmer. How about Jamaica? Let's live a lifestyle of someone with treasure, not someone who died working till he was 80. That makes no sense. All right, let's work on lot 25 now. We have the command center, 2 stories, 2 rooms, built-in latrine. The barracks very close by. In case there was ever an attack on the command center, you needed men to defend it. And he also had the wall there as a defensive line. Down below you have a bath, a pond that never freezes, a well that never freezes. Perfect for getting clean and getting fresh water. That's all. Time to finish strong here with some great evidence. When I put this through a French lens decipher, it says, this is the king's base. It's a gold depository. You will be shot on sight. Pretty much. It's like Area 51 warning sign. Do not come here. You're not wanted. And that's the story of Oak Island. And that's it. There's nothing left to tell. The French came in and they used it from 1688 is roughly when they started building it. And 1713 is the treaty, so they might not have got that information till late 1713, 1714. But it all lines up. Have evidence now, the maps, deciphering the stones, putting everything into place. Once and for all, Oak Island, HARRAH theory solves the island. Thank you very much.